So there are lots of miniatures games out there. Some great, some not so great. Some small, some large, some well known, some obscure, and some cruelly cut down before having their time to shine. So we are going through somewhat of a miniature tabletop game renaissance at the moment. Yeah, generally across the board a massive resurgence, I would assume, related to people, you know, who grew up playing miniature board games in general, coming to an age where they now have disposable income. Debatably disposable. Although if you ask me, and nobody really does, the renaissance of miniature tabletop games was kind of like 5 years ago, in my opinion. Yeah, we've kind of gone past the renaissance point now and ended up a few hundred years into the future into some kind of New World Pictures, Roger Corman kind of meat assembly line for miniatures tabletop games. Pretty much any itch you want to scratch, anything you might need, any kind of subtle variant on a pre-existing formula, it basically exists. So many variations on very minimal foundations mean we have a lot of stuff that is, different coats of paint aside, ultimately very similar, with a few changes here and there. Okay, here you go, Tony. This is the script for A Beast with a Million Eyes.
That's fucking incredible. We'll shoot it next week. Now write me a sequel, but make it sexier.
Okay. Beast with a Million Eyes with its dick hanging out.
That's fucking amazing. Where are you coming up with these ideas?
Well, you know.
Now do me one in space.
How about the Beast with a Million Eyes with its dick out in space?
That's fucking incredible.
Yeah, anything you want basically exists, for better or worse. Like, you can't really be over-exaggerated too much on how so many mid-level games kind of just do exactly the same thing with a slight change in the formula and a new coat of paint on the box. So, with so many games out there, you've probably found yourself in a game shop at one point or another, thinking to yourself, who is this actually for? Case in point, making that tenuous connection. What's up, my movers and shakers? I'm Dave. This is vaguely MS Paints, and this is World of Tanks, the miniatures game.
Son of a bitch!
So here we are. I don't know why. Well, it was a tenner, and he wouldn't let me leave without taking it, that's why. World of Tanks, the miniatures game, is an easy to learn, thank God, fast-paced game where you take command of a tank unit. Yeah, no shit. Destroy your opponent and secure victory. Hang on, is this one of these games where someone has to play the Nazis? All joking aside, I picked this up out of curiosity. Gale Force 9 are kind of kicking ass and taking names in a weird kind of way. Both with their own stuff, their licensed stuff, their not so officially licensed stuff. And anyway, this game felt odd. Odd enough that I just needed to have it. So it's based on the hugely successful video and mobile game based around the freemium business model. All players can play for free but receive... and yada yada yada. That's what Wikipedia says anyway. In the box are 4 tanks. A Cromwell, whatever that is, a Sherman, and a T-34. Along with some proprietary dice. We do like dice with pictures on. And some upgrade cards. Some event or critical damage cards, and a pack of tank profile cards. It also comes with some very sturdy stocky tokens and widgets, and some bird's eye view battlefield augmentation, which is the more interesting way of saying two-dimensional terrain. Cool. Also, apparently these miniatures are pre-painted? Debatably. Let's do something about that real quick. You can apply paint straight to these because not only are they air quote pre-painted, this is primer. So slapping on the appropriate washes with a cheeky bit of dry brushing and a little bit of metallics on the tracks, and honestly at 1/100 scale, World of Tanks the Miniatures game, I am happy. I am happy to play with these. These are completely fine. Onto the instruction manual. And it is delivered in a delicious 4:3 aspect ratio, and there is honestly so much to love about how this is presented, especially for people with my kind of brain. Big chunky icons, examples and demos with every section of the rules to tell you how stuff works. Honestly, if I turned the page over and there was a pop-up tank, it would have just made my day. Honestly, with this rulebook, I don't think it's going to be hard to learn how to play a couple of games for myself or anyone, and then take it out into the world and teach more people how to play it. And that is probably the sign of a good game. Well, one of the signs. I'm going to cover, I'll cover all the game's mechanics. And based on the runtime of this video, you can see that that won't take very long. And after which, we are going to try and figure out who this game is actually for. I'm still not sure if I'm going to be able to answer it.
What's up guys, Tony Gesundheit here, back in perpetual forward motion, and I'm here to talk to you today about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Have you ever thought to yourself, what I need is a dedicated webpage for all these Warhammers I'm making? Well, now you can. Harnessing the power of Squarespace is super easy to build, and customizable templates, making the website of your dreams is a total breeze. And with all that icky coding and hard stuff hidden behind a very friendly user interface, it's never been easier to make your Warhammer page a reality. And if you're a painter looking to show off the stuff that you just painted, well, it's never been easier to make a portfolio or a blog page to show off all your lovely stuff and your amazing paintwork. You are wonderful. You are wonderful. But Tony, how hear you ask? I want to put models and I want to sell them. I gotta monetize my hobby. I gotta be hustling, but don't got time for no bustling. Well, with Squarespace's online store templates, you can do just that. Sell direct to customers with a sales page and a catalog with no overheads or commission rates. And you know me, guys, it wouldn't be Tony D Fun Time without mentioning that only bit of screen capture that I got, and that's the browser-based acquisition tab, guys. Just enter the name of the new website that you built, check the availability, and add it to the cart, and immediately have a locked and loaded domain for your website, and it's easy to find. All of this and more. So head to squarespace.com/MSPaints and use the code MSPaints at checkout to save yourself 10% off your first website subscription or domain. Alright, bye now.
World of Tanks the Miniatures game is a two-player game, although it will function just fine with 3 to 4 players and possibly 50 players. I found the playtime to be anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour and 10. And frankly, it's probably the easiest pick up and go game I've played in a long time, so it's newbie friendly and also low attention span kid friendly. Also, my cat really loved playing with the tanks. If you're a tank buff, you'll probably notice that this is a World War II starter set. Obviously, World of Tanks covers other things, and these tanks are from 4 factions within that war: Germany, Russia, United Kingdom, and a medic. Which means, using this starter set, if we go by the unit cost, someone is going to have to play Germans and Russians together. I mean, I get you wanted to get the biggest, most well-known names in it, but I'm pretty sure that we could have given the Germans someone else to side with, couldn't we? That wasn't historically their enemy? Have I been violently clubbed on the head at some point, or have I forgotten who was who in World War II? Nah. But that is okay if what is written in the rules is to be believed as true, which is generally how rulebooks work, generally. You can pair up any faction you want with any other faction. The only thing that you can't mix and match is faction-specific upgrades for specific tanks. Yes, so you can't have crumpets and tea on a Polish tank. Weirdest sentence of the day. So yeah, Russian and German, you can pair those up just fine. This is what my historically inclined father would refer to diplomatically as history adjacent. And it's because of him we're not allowed back into any official bot action tournaments, so thank you for your behaviour on the day, Dad. The starter box comes with a slack handful of scenarios to get you started, no, that is all of them. Battle is generally resolved by either murking each other completely, doing specific tasks. You can either have a solid straight rumble, gathering holding objectives, or holding capture the flag to get points. And I'm going to go with a suggested balance in the box of the US and UK versus Germany and Russia. There is something intangibly on the nose about how this is laid out. Can't quite put my nose on it. Inside the box you'll find 4 corresponding tank cards. Agree with your opponent on a cost for the game you're going to play, and upgrade the tanks to your heart's content. Or the assigned points limit, which would probably be better. Tanks can be upgraded with gear, guns, engines, tracks, or crew that offer perks like free repairs, or extra moves, or less penalties to aiming after moving. From what I've played, this is where the variety and the depth actually comes into the game. Combat in the game is resolved with these funky dice covered in icons. I do love me some pictures on dice, but since both attack and defense are done with the same dice, and more often than not, you're going to be using all 6 to attack and defend, there's not enough dice. This box needs more dice. This was the only thing that made the game a little bit clunky for us, because once you've rolled your attack dice, your opponent then builds up their pool of defense dice, which are going to definitely need some of your dice that you just rolled, so you just have to remember what you rolled. Not a big deal for some people. Thick bastards like me, we need extra dice. Icons on the dice are a regular success, a critical success, and a blank as well, if that's an icon. Rolling a success in defense cancels out another success. Rolling a critical will cancel a success or a critical. We'll come back to critical success in a moment. Movement is done with a proprietary locomotion distance gauge, aka a cardboard stick, and a tank can move as many times in a turn as there are markings on its card. Keep track of your tank's movement with these handy tokens, because for every time a tank has moved, your opponent will gain a bonus dice to defend when it's their time to defend against your attacks. A fun little feature is that tanks with the lowest initiative move first, and then take turns moving in ascending order, and when it comes to shooting, the tank with the highest initiative goes first. So, the dumbest tank moves first, shoots last. Got you. Talking about terrain, buildings block line of sight, and firing on a tank in the woods and through the woods and partially on or around a hill is, I think that's classed as obscuring terrain, and it gives a defense bonus or a defense dice reroll. The best thing about World of Tanks is that everything is in range. However, line of sight is the only thing that's going to get in the way. If you can draw a line from the center of your tank to 3 of the 4 corners of an enemy tank, you can fire away, no dramas. If you can only draw a line to 2 or less corners, then the tank is obscured and they gain a defense bonus. The firepower on a tank corresponds to how many dice are rolled when it shoots, and the base survivability is how many dice the tank gets to defend before adding modifiers. And dice are added for each time the firing and defending tank moves. So here we've rolled a critical, and this is where the game gets a little bit spicy. Every critical hit that goes through will result in drawing a critical hit card. Critical hit cards show a damage value if there is a damage value on there, and an effect that it has on the tank. Critical cards that are marked with repairable can be repaired at the very end of the round on a successful dice roll. That is essentially it. That is most of the mechanics explained. You know, I normally take like 20 minutes to explain like just a quarter of a game's mechanics or a general overview. This is, apart from some stuff like items that you can use, that's it. That's basically it, I think. So yeah, mechanics-wise, World of Tanks, the miniatures game, is pretty bare bones in what it has going on, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not one of those twitchy early 2000s millennial Counter-Strike players that just can't read a page for more than 30 seconds. But generally, the way historical wargaming is represented is quite clunky and archaic, and this was nice to pick up what is, sorry Dad, history adjacent, and just learn how to play it in 20 minutes. That was nice. Game is completely expandable, surprisingly, of course, with additional booster packs of, let's say booster packs, makes it sound like blind boxes. You can get tank platoons from different nations, different factions. There's dice add-ons, there's extra counters to get. I think there's some extra terrain boxes. There's also, yeah, I know, right? There's also a World of Tanks garage. This is called a garage because it's called a garage in the Ouija game. Yeah, it's a bag. It's not a garage, it's a bag. Yeah, with more stuff on the pitch, it starts to vibe and flow a lot nicer. I think the problem with the starter set is that it just doesn't have enough. I think the new starter set is different. This one's a few years old now. But what it should definitely have is two sides of three is what it should have. 2 sides of 3 with a heavy, medium, and a light tank each. And I think people are then going to get hooked a little bit easier because they'll be able to see what the benefit of each tank type is, the benefit each side has, and they'll be able to distribute upgrades more tactically as they start to think about the game more. That's my opinion on that. That said, thanks to our super best friends over at whalengames.co.uk, they were kind enough to send me a German tank platoon and a United Kingdom tank platoon and another set of dice with decals. The decals I'll put on at some point. Most of them seem to be the World of Tanks logo, but you know, I voluntarily bought the garage carry case, so I'm all about that World of Tanks, whatever World of Tanks is. And it was with that stuff that super best friends at whalengames.co.uk sent me that I did play my few games, and it felt, yeah, that was alright. That was good fun. Is it a super tactical, number crunchy, bottomless variety kind of game? No. Thankfully, no. Is it fun with a bit of swing and some depth to the modern and list building? Yeah. Yeah, it's actually a surprisingly solid and fun little gateway game. See, James, I am still doing the gateway games, you prick. But let's go back to my initial question of, who is this game for? I feel like people that play World of Tanks won't be too bothered in getting this. I've met people that play nothing but World of Tanks and they seem nice enough. Not harmless, but nice. And I suspect that tabletop wargamers or warhammers will just like stick their nose about it like I did initially. So it's kind of like, I guess, stuck in a weird no man's land. I guess I just don't, from a marketing guy's perspective, I don't know. I suppose one of the benefits of it is that Gale Force 9 are not manufacturing the tanks. Those are, I think, World in Flames. World of Flames are doing those. So the tanks are something else. The IP is something else. So I suppose Gale Force 9, all they had to do was make the thing in the middle, which is the game mechanics. Yeah, I don't know who it's for. Let me know down in the comments if you've played this, if you've heard of it. Yeah, if you've even heard of it. And let me know who you think it's for, because I don't think it is I think it was intended for World of Tanks players, but I don't think it is actually, in principle it is. In practicality, I don't think it's for them. And I don't think it's for wargamers. I think it's some unknown player in the game that this is for. If I were to assign an arbitrary numerical value to it, I would go with a 6.5. Is 6.5 good? Well, it's 6.5 out of 10, so I would say that's pretty good. I consider 5 to be average, playable, alright, had a nice evening with it, so 6.5, yeah, decent, worth your time. Worth your time, I would say. I picked this up from EH Gaming, but I believe this was the last one, probably ever, that he's going to get in. But you can pick it up from my affiliate links down below, from our super good friends at waylandgames.co.uk. And I think they do have some starter sets left in stock, and there are some platoons and single tanks and nicks and knacks available there. Along with a lot of other wonderful, wonderful things, including a lot of Frostgrave stuff, which I've been eyeing up recently, and I fully intend to cover that game with their help soon. Thank you for watching, I hope you had a good time, and thank you of course to my wonderful, wonderful Patreon community who continue to grow and support each other in this crazy, crazy little corner of our hobby world. Don't forget to like and subscribe, that helps me muchly, unless you absolutely hated this, in which case please like and subscribe, that helps me muchly, and otherwise, cheers, I'm out of here.